Hey tea heads, this is Don from Mayleaf. Welcome to Mount Ermei in Sichuan in China. This historic and scenic and touristy spot in China has been making green tea for about 2,000 years. Sichuan is the mother province of cultivated tea, dating back to 53 BC. And the traditional tea made in this area is a pan-fried bud green tea. So taking fresh buds, withering them, and then pan-frying them all the way through releasing moisture, de-enzyming or fixing the tea, enhancing aroma and drying, all in one step. This style of processing is similar to Longjing tea in Zhejiang province and Bilouchen in Jiangsu province. Now, this style of tea has been made here, as I said, for millennia, but it never had a brand name. And so people just called it Ermei green tea or pan-fried bud tea, but it wasn't particularly well marketed. That all changed in 1964 when Minister Chen Yi visited this area and tasted a greener version of this tea and named it Zhu Ye Qing, bamboo leaf green. That changed everything in this area. Suddenly there was a name and suddenly there was a tea to imitate. So everybody started to make this more green bud tea. And in order to live up to the name, the processes were adapted. The fixing process was done differently. It was done at lower temperature. It was done by machine. The rolling process was reduced. And the baking process was also reduced with lower temperature baking. This results in a very beautiful tea, glossy, green, plump buds. However, I have a big problem with this tea. For me, it is too raw tasting, it is too green, it is too astringent. And whilst the market now accepts and actually demands this kind of tea, I don't particularly like it. However, I'm in the minority clearly because Zhu Ye Qing is one of the most famous teas on the market. In 1998, there was a company that formed called the Zhu Ye Qing Company. And this company has won awards 12 years in a row for the highest sales volumes of high-end tea. In 1999, just a year after their formation, the Zhu Ye Qing Company managed to gain protection of the name Zhu Ye Qing. So theoretically, nobody should use the name Zhu Ye Qing, although everyone still does. But I have a problem with this tea. This modern tea, this newly developed tea is not the same as the pan-fried tea from Ermei traditionally. And it's very, very hard to find traditionally made Ermei pan-fired tea. So I am here on a bit of a mission to go and see if this Quentong traditional style of tea is still made here, what it tastes like, and importantly, if I can get any. Okay, so we've managed to find a small production facility on Mount Ermei. It's worth noting that since Mount Ermei has been turned into a more tourist destination, the government has kind of shut down a lot of the production, the small production in this area, which is unfortunate because it means that, again, you don't get much uniqueness in terms of production because all of the raw material is then sold to the big companies that protect their IP and have a standardized product with mixed pickings. So I don't really like that, but that's the government of China, the government here, they want to make sure that this is set up for a tourist industry and therefore they don't want any industrial processing happening here. You can see a little garden behind me. So this is a small sized garden. The cultivar that they use is the Dabai cultivar. So the big cultivar, big bud cultivar coming from Fuding, they do not use the Lao Chuen Cha, the old Chuntijong heirloom variety, which is, you know, understandable because the Dabai has a big bud. So it's gonna, again, look very good and produce the most amount of tea in terms of kilograms for picking. And so, yeah, yield is obviously very important. And everywhere you look in this beautiful area on this mountain, you can see gardens, tea gardens everywhere. But as I said, it took us a while to find a production facility because they're saying that all of the leaves have to be sold to the big businesses. Right, so I'm going to go through the production technique for making more modern style Zhu Ye Qing. Now, it's worth noting that this is still one of the few remaining small production facilities, and I've seen their Zhu Ye Qing, and it actually looks pretty good. It's a little bit more yellow, so again, it would be nice if there were more of these production facilities open. All right, let's go through it. So, leaves come in. There you go, fresh leaves. They've stopped making Zhu Ye Qing. Well, they stopped picking Zhu Ye Qing now because it's a bit later in the season, so they're going to make Maofeng out of that, which is a cheaper green tea. Right here, the Zhu Ye Qing would sit in beds, and they stay there for about 6 hours apparently, which is quite a long time for them to air out and the moisture to dissipate. And then they go up this conveyor belt into the Xiaoqing machine. So no pan frying here. So the tradition of pan fried teas, forget it. It's all going to be done here with a Xiaoqing machine. So the buds will pass through the Xiaoqing machine, probably about 300 odd degrees Celsius. And then it will go along this little conveyor belt here. Come with me. Hear the machine, I can hear the tuk 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 machine. We'll talk about that in a bit. So it passes through here. Oops, where I'm lost. Oh, no, this is not red. There are some leaves now withering here. The smell in this room is amazing. I get that beautiful green apple scent. Anyway, after the Xiaoqing process, they'll probably go and sit for a while to cool down. So that covers the air withering and then the Xiaoqing, so the fixing. Now what needs to happen is the rolling. And so it'll go to this machine, which makes a very distinctive sound. I've heard it many times, which is this side-by-side machine here. So this is at a warmish temperature. And it just goes back and forth like that. What's it doing? That's imitating the rolling process. Of course, it's nothing like, you know, slapping it down and really rubbing it. It is just sort of making it go side by side. So it's not going to break anything, there's no risk. Then they stop, then they'll put those rolling rods in. The rolling rods are heavier and they'll flatten the leaves, but make sure they don't break it. It'll also start to remove a lot of the hairs from the buds. So you're going to get flat buds, you're going to get you know, some of the hairs being taken off the buds, and then they put it into this machine here, which is basically like a Xiaoqing machine. And you can see all the hairs coming out of here. Look, can you see that? All of this. So the purpose here is to de-hair the tea. So the famous thing about Zhu Ye Qing is it's bald. It doesn't have any hair on it. It has very little of the tea fluff on it. And so they're using that machine to literally just rub off all of the hairs. Then they will take away residual moisture by putting it into another Xiaoqing machine. This is empty, but they'll put it into another one of these. So they're using all of these cylinders and all of these machines, and that will bring it down to residual moisture of, you know, the suitable for storage. Although I'll say something about that first before I get to the finished product. I don't think that Zhu Ye Qing is designed for long-term storage because it tends to have excess moisture in it. In order to keep the buds green, they have to make sure that they bake it low. They've got to be very gentle. Everything's at lowish temperature. right? And so, yes, they're going to try to get the moisture down, but it's never going to be the same as if you do it properly over a pan, or if you compare it to other green teas where they bake the tea. There's no baking involved here. It goes through a Zhu Ye Qing machine just to sort of heat it through. So this is why Zhu Ye Qing is not really suitable for long-term storage. Then it goes finally through a sorting machine. So this lady here is putting these, you can see, they look pretty. This Zhu Ye Qing buds, they're going into this sorting machine which is blowing air and it's taking away any of this lighter stuff. And you're left with this Zhu Ye Qing, which, as I said, actually looks pretty good. When I'm looking for Zhu Ye Qing, if I see Zhu Ye Qing that looks yellowish like this, then it's much more likely to have a decent taste. So that's the basic process for making Zhu Ye Qing. Obviously, I couldn't go to one of the big factories to see how they do it. I hear at the big factories that they heat it by light wave, so it's very high tech. So instead of a Zhu Ye Qing machine, they're actually using, I don't know what that means. Is it like microwave, light wave? I don't know. But they're basically, you know, making super high tech, super controlled in terms of the temperature, very, very accurate, all about making a very standard product that sells at huge volumes to those who are prepared to spend a lot of money for what is considered to be a top-end Chinese tea. Very, very expensive if you get the high-grade stuff, and it all looks, well, I don't think it looks beautiful, but a lot of people think it looks beautiful. I think it looks, well, you know, I judge beauty by the experience, and because a lot of the Zhu Ye Qing experience that I have is substandard, when I see those very green buds, it doesn't make me swoon over its looks. This Zhu Ye Qing actually looks pretty good. I'm going to see if I can try some, because hey, they've held out. They've managed to be the only small production facility that we found on Ermei Mountain. Well done, well done. Anyway, that's your basic processing for modern style Zhu Ye Qing. Right, we're on Mount Sai, so not Mount Ermei strictly, although it's in the same area of Sichuan province, and I am in the tea gardens of a dream. Right, you can see here rocks, rocks, rocks. All of these tea trees are growing amongst rocks. You can see fruit trees here, and this garden has so many old tea trees, it's unbelievable. So let me introduce this garden to you. This garden has been set up by Wang Ming, a gentleman who has been awarded intangible cultural heritage awards nationally for making handmade, old school, Chuantong, traditional Ermei pan-fried green tea. He is on a mission to bring back pan-fried traditional Ermei green tea. I wish there was a better name for it, but we'll just call it traditional green tea. He's on a mission to bring that back, to provide some contrast and diversity to the Zhu Ye Qing on the market. So he set up this tea garden, and he's been working for many years to try to make this area the #1 producing area for handmade traditional Chuantong tea. Just, I mean, take a look at these tea trees. Let me just get in amongst it so you get a sense of size. These are big tea trees. For a small leaf variety, they're well over 100-year-old tea trees. So the variety that he mostly grows here is the Laochuan Cha variety, which is the heirloom tea variety. Sometimes we call it Chuntijong heirloom. It's one of those terms that just means it's the old school original variety that was grown in this area. But of course, because they're all grown from seed, they all have genetic diversity, which again is great. Now look, walk through this with me. Look at this, we're in the most amazing little grove here. Look at all these tea trees. I hope you can pick up the beauty of this area. Look at these tea trees. Look at these tea trees. Everywhere you look, the most amazing tea trees. It's the kind of thing that's very difficult to capture on video. But let's keep walking through here. Oh, listen. Hold on, let's go back. He's playing music to his tea trees. He's playing Buddhist music to his tea trees. Yep, here you go. That should tell you a little bit about the reverence that this man has for tea and his love affair for tea. So, trying to resurrect or rediscover this ancient style of tree. Oh, I've hit a dead end. Have I hit a dead end? Impossible to know. I think I have hit a dead end. We'll keep going and see. It's unbelievable that this garden, I'm so happy to see that this garden exists. Yeah, I have hit a dead end. Check it out. Rocks, rocks, rocks. In the classics of tea, Lu Yu said, the best tea grows on weathered rocks. And that's certainly the case here. I'm getting lost in this tea garden, which is always a good sign. Nothing too manicured. I'm surrounded by giant trees here. So, Wang Ming, as I said, very well established as a master of Trentong style tea. The problem, of course, is that gardens like this are very few and far between. The estimated amount of traditional Handmade green tea that's found on the market compared with Zhu Ye Qing is around 1%. So 99, I would say even more than that, 99.9% of the tea produced in this area is going to be the more machine-made, greener Zhu Ye Qing, of which I'm not a great fan. Look at all the rocks. Amazing. Most of these are grown from seeds. You can see because it's got like a shrub base. And the ones that are grown from cutting will have a single trunk. I'll try to get some shots of it for you because I can't get them now. I'm getting breathless. It's quite steep up here. So yeah, 1% estimated. I would say it's probably less than 1% of tea produced in this area is going to be this traditional style. And therefore, whilst Zhu Ye Qing commands a crazy high price to market, I'll put some prices around me for what the sort of standard Zhu Ye Qing company prices are, so you get a feel for them, because I haven't done the exact research, but it's already crazy expensive. So you can imagine that trying to get the 1% of this kind of tea is going to be even more expensive. I was asking him how much the tea would be here, and he said, are you ready? Are you sitting down? He said pre-Qingming ancient tree buds promotional price would be around 380,000 RMB per Jing per 500 grams. That works out to be about 105, let's round it down, go on, about $100,000 a kilo. So we're talking about $100 per single kilo of this tea. So clearly, it's not just beyond the price range of us and most people, it's way beyond. We're talking about serious gift tea. We're talking about only the highest echelons of people will be getting their hands on this type of tea. I'll be lucky if I can try it in my lifetime, to be honest with you. Rocks, big, big rocks everywhere you look. A stunning garden, amazing to visit, amazing to see this incredible landscape, this incredible dedication to tea. Clearly, there's a lot of potential money in these gardens as well for those who've got the funds to be able to afford it. I just wish that there was a way to bring back some of this traditional pan-fried tea to the market without reaching these super high echelon prices. And I'm trying to talk with him and talk with all my contacts here in Ermey to try to see if there was anything that we can do. And you know, to be fair, there's interest. People are talking about it. They're saying, look, it's going to be more expensive than the green Zhu Ye Qing, than the machine-made Zhu Ye Qing. Obviously, handmade is always more expensive than the green, than machine-made. But the problem is that Zhu Ye Qing already is such a high cachet tea, which for me, it doesn't deserve that price because, as I said, it's too raw and too green and unfinished. But it's already commanding one of the highest prices of tea on the market. So you start at that level and you imagine all the workers that are prepared to make that tea and are making that kind of money. And you say, can you switch to make traditional style, which is a lot more work, not just a little bit more work, a lot more work. And can you just charge a little bit more? Clearly, everyone's going to say, go away, foreigner. You're talking nonsense. That ain't going to happen. And that is what's so frustrating for me, because I wish that people could try pan-fried green tea. I've only tried a few in my life. And that just shows you, I've been in the tea game for 25 years and I've only tried a few in my life and they've always blown me away, but then the price has always blown me away. So is it possible? Is it possible for us to help to reinvigorate and rediscover this traditional pan-fried tea market without us all going broke? That is the question. But for now, rather than deal with all of that, let's just enjoy this beautiful garden. I mean, it is truly a paradise for any tea lover.
古茶嘛，我前日来了，行情嘛，前日那种古茶树，这儿在行情嘛。
Walking this garden, I happened upon a picker, so had to stop him to see what he's got. Check it out. So this is going to be used to make black tea. So they make black tea in this area as well from this garden. So the first pickings of the year, the buds will be used for making the traditional bud pan-fried tea. But then second pickings will be used to make Maofeng or black tea, and the smell of this is like the smell of the finest green tea or the finest fresh picked tea is always like a combination of creamy and floral. Not as green as you would think, actually. It's got a very orchid note to it, sort of a creamy flowery note. But this one here is just dialed up. So it's so intense. It's like concentrated. It's like it's been reduced down and concentrated even further. You can smell from these leaves that there's an absolute richness. I want to eat one. I want to eat one, but I can't. This is expensive stuff. Wow. Special tea being grown in this beautiful garden. Check out the rocks behind me. Beautiful sedimentary rocks, huge everywhere you look, rock formations. and huge tea plants. I mean, just everywhere. It's not just, you know, a little bit. Everywhere you go, there are these, you know, well over 100, probably 200-year-old tea trees. Pretty breathtaking and breathless walking up here. But this is the result. Will this ever reach your cup? So I did ask Wang Ming how many old tea trees he has here, because I'm just like, I thought that I'd come across this little pocket of old tea trees, but everywhere I look there are huge tea trees, and he said estimated in his garden 10,000 over 100 years old, all much bigger than me, and I cannot resist. Sorry, if you've got 10,000, then I need to eat some. Sorry, it's not happening. Let me find an old tea tree. I'll find the oldest one I can. There are so many here. All right, down here. This one's pretty old. This is definitely over 100 years old. Let's see. Little bud here, little bud. Which one's for me? Which one's for me? Let's go with this one here. Ooh. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay, so normally, now I want to eat them all. Normally when I taste raw tea, I get a lot of flavor, but I get hit with this amazing, like, oh, astringent bitterness. No bitterness. Sorry, one more. He's looking at me, but since I'm on camera, he can't stop me. Again, well over my height. No bitterness. No. What? Tastes like orchids. It tastes like I've breathed in the most amazing orchid. I mean, the barest trace of bitterness, but it is just a trace. Now, I picked this one from a younger tree before, which was just a bush, because I thought I'll grab one. So let's see if that's different. Different. Very different. Immediate drying sensation in my mouth. Immediate, wow, drying sensation. That, if there's anything that is going to define the difference between Gushu tea, ancient tea, and small bush tea, just that. If I could give everyone that experience, I'm in shock. The difference is immense, immense difference from that orchid fragrance and just low astringency and low bitterness to, sorry, I'm getting excited because I'm seeing people pick, to this sudden, like, you know, quite harsh note. It's still tasty, but it's overtaken by all of that harshness. Look at, they're picking the ancient trees. Just to give you an idea of the size. Look at that tree compared to the size of that lady. And remember always, this is the Zhu Ye Qing. This is the small leaf Laochuan cha variety. This is the original bush's small leaf, right? If this was a Da Ye Qing, you'd say, ooh, I don't know, 50 years old or something. But this is, I think he's being conservative. He's just saying he has 10,000 that are over 100 years old. But they look seriously old. I mean, I want to just spend the day here munching leaves, but we got to go. I've spent too much time here apparently. We're way behind schedule for the plans, but that's because I just got so caught up in this garden and I want to fly the drone, I want to do everything, so we got to rush. I want to pick them all and make an omelette with them. Sometimes I feel like I'm living a different life when I come to China. So I am now at Wang Ming's, I don't know if it's his residence, but he said I think it's kind of where one of his homes, or a place he's planning to make into a reception center for handmade tea. Ooh, not a bad place to drink tea. Not a bad place to drink tea. Sometimes when you come tea country, you slum it. Other times, well, let's just say it's a little bit different.
如果在这里做一些日光尾雕，做手工茶，然后在这里边做茶边喝茶，是一件非常。
And that's a bit of the back garden. So, who wants to come here? We're talking about organising a tour and bringing people here as a place to explore and discover handmade tea. Anybody interested? They are being very serious that they want me to organise a tour, and I've always resisted the idea of organising a tour because I don't want to be a tour guide, but sometimes when I come here I think some experiences need to be shared, and yeah, this is one of those places. It's empty at the moment, it seems, so it is newly built and ready for your arrival. This green tea is special. I'm having tea made by the master Wang Min here, who has blessed me with a handmade Ermei green tea that just is everything that I want a green tea from this area to be. It's bud tea, it's xiaoya, so it's small bud from the Lao Chuan cha, from the heirloom Chuntijong varieties. Really, really everything you want, plus it's handmade by a master who's nationally recognized as a master of handmade teas, and it lives up to all expectations. Liquor, yellow, the color of the leaves, a beautiful yellow color. When they were dry, also yellow, not too green, not too uniform, clearly handmade. The warmth in the mouth. The warmth just fills your body up to your head, into your heart. The sweetness, the sweetness in my mouth, like I've been chewing on candy cane, but richer, warmer. There's a nuttiness here. It's pure, it's bright, it's lively, but it's warm, it's centered, it's calming. And the way that this man serves his tea demonstrates everything with pure serenity, pure stillness, pure peace. The tea is centering, not lifting, not too bright, not too caffeinated. It is just the epitome of what I would hope for in a handmade green tea. And I'm so honored to be able to share this cup here on Ermei Mountain. The representation of connection between man and nature in harmony, the love affair that Wang Min has been talking to me about during our dinner, the love affair that he has with tea, how he feels connected and one with tea when he's making his tea. You can taste it. You can taste intention. You can taste the love. You can taste the love. Is there anything greater in tea? So it's like Christmas and birthday rolled into one. After that amazing green tea experience, Master Wang Min has treated me to one of his handmade black teas, which he calls Zhao Ming, and that means like fermented ancient tea variety. And he brews it in a really interesting way. He brews it from a pour over coffee kind of thing. He puts it in an infuser and he pours the water slowly over the leaves, and it makes this incredible golden liquor. I don't know if you can see that. We'll get some shots if you can't. This amazing golden liquor. And once again, the taste is just somehow like revelatory. It goes beyond taste. So you put it in your mouth, first thing you're met with is incredible softness. So soft and oily, just gentle. And then immediately you're hit with this incredible like Hoyun and Hoigan sweetness, just this returning sweetness instantly hits your tongue, and it hits the front of your tongue, not just sort of lingering at the back, right at the front of the tongue and all the way around your tongue. Immediate sweetness. The sweetness that he's getting out of his teas is just amazing, and that's obviously partially going to be to do with the incredible quality of the raw material up here. But the processing, there's some magic behind this processing to get the fermentation to be so rich in fermentation that he can do a pour over with water and extract a perfect tea. So he's not even steeping the leaves, just a pour over. And it is perfection in terms of its richness. And so sweet. Honeyed, a little bit of flowers. Strangely, like a touch of a milky fruit like pear or guava or custard apple, just dancing and lingering around this warm bed of sweetness. And then it leaves your mouth with this juicy, comfortable, slightly cooling, refreshing sensation. Another immaculate tea. You know, it's the kind of tea that you just wish that everybody could experience at some point in their life. It's been 25 years for me in this tea journey, and you know, these moments don't come around that often, and I'm wise enough now to recognize that they don't come around that often, so I'm appreciating it now. An amazing tea that has its own name and has been created by this man here, Master Wang Min. Cheers.
From now on, the secretary can get over and
This night is just making me a bit speechless. I'm mesmerized. So we're at the workshop of Wang Min, and he said that he would show us how he makes his handmade Ermei green tea and the skills that have earned him so many accolades nationally as a master of handmade green tea. And I've seen a lot of Shaoqing in my time visiting tea country. I've gone to Shihu, I've watched Longjing being made by masters. I have seen all sorts. I have never witnessed anything like what I witnessed right now. And I know that it wasn't a performance. I know that this is how he treats every single batch of tea that he crafts. The concentration, the incredible dedication. Every single movement was like this perfect movement that had been practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. Controlling the heat, controlling the dials to make sure the heat was right, and literally switching it off, switching it on, checking it, switching it off, switching it on. Every movement, and the sound it made was mesmerizing as well, this hypnotic sound of shaking and slapping and moving. It was amazing. Anyway, the end result is here. This very, very small batch of tea. So, I mean, I'm always amazed at how precious tea is. But there's always several steps above. And this man here, Master Wang Min, he smiles now. He was completely serious when he was doing that. And he said to me beforehand, I'm not going to talk while I'm doing this. I said, fine, don't talk. But the concentration is amazing. This man's hands are, they're a national treasure. They are a national treasure, and you can taste it in the tea. And then he said afterwards, do you want to drink some? I was like, this tea is worth so much, and you're offering it for a drink. Who am I to say no? The generosity knows no bounds. I am honored to receive some tea from Wang Min, including some of that tea that I witnessed him pan frying. And I mean, what else to say, but I'm blessed because I didn't think I'd even get to taste it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
真的谢谢你，谢谢你. Thank you so much. And I know that a lot of people out there are going to be wanting to learn more about you, and maybe we can organize some trips where you can come and you can watch the master make Trentong Ermei green tea. Okay.
谢谢，不客气。
I'm back in London after an incredible trip to Sichuan, and I have in front of me this very precious, fully handmade, pan-fired, traditional green tea made by Master Wang Min himself. And I'm about to dive into my first proper tasting of this precious tea and tasting it next to our 2025 Zhu Ye Qing selection for Mayleaf. It's going to be a very interesting tasting. I'm excited to see the differences, but this is going to be the tasting for another video, not this one, because this video is already long enough. Well done for making it to the end. If you want to know more about this tea, then I'll put a link in the description below so you can check out our Zhu Ye Qing selection for 2025. And also, you'll find out a way to potentially win some of this very, very precious tea. I hope that this video has given you a richer insight into this tea and the historic area of Sichuan. Thank you for watching. Make sure you check out our other China trip videos. I'll stick links in the description below. That's it, tea heads. Check out other videos, taste our teas wherever you're in the world by browsing mayleaf.com, and come visit us if you're ever in London. Other than that, I'm Don from Mayleaf. Thank you for being a part of the revelation of true tea. Stay away from those tea bags. Keep drinking the good stuff and spread the word, because nobody deserves bad tea. Bye.